And welcome in. It is the JP and Travis show. Obviously, I am not JP. I am Jake Major 25. You can find me on Twitter on that tag. JP had things that he had to do, be a good husband and all that. So he's taking care of that. Instead, you got me and you got Travis. So, all right. So, Travis, how was the week?
Well, it was good. I think I think we all learned
Not as good as it could have been.
that he was probably right on about some things, and I'm sure they were pumping their fist so they could prove us right. But it's one of those things we didn't drop crazy far. It was interesting to see Baylor only drop one spot whenever they lost to TCU, but we lost to the 13 team on the road and we dropped 5 spots, which is always interesting. But
Neither here nor there.
but it's also one of those things like, it was right out there in front of us, and we decided not to show up. So, as always, nobody's more, everybody wants to talk about, how disappointed somebody is. I'm more disappointed than this person. I'm a bigger fan than this person, whatnot. It's like nobody's more disappointed than the people that are actually in the room and this is their job.
Yeah.
So,
that's facts.
Like, nobody's more disappointed than Lincoln Riley and Alex Grinch and the players on the team. I mean, it's as simple as that. So, that being said, Marquise has talked about, hey, look, we were really aggressive. It was a great practice, all this and the other. And he brought up focusing on the run game, which I found interesting. So you usually don't get players in press conferences talking about specific focuses in practice. So that was kind of cool. I thought was, hey, they said they're focusing on the run game. So I don't know. Thought it was interesting.
All right. So, yeah, in case you guys don't know, Oklahoma lost to Baylor 27-14. So, Travis, how do you think they're going to respond?
Well, if they don't respond well, then we've really got some issues, that we've got to work out. It's it's been fair to ask over the years what is great quarterback play covering up. What is some of Lincoln's scheming covering up, things like that. But it's just funny when people talk about Lincoln Riley. I mean, we're the news all week, or the rumors all week, have been with LSU,
which we'll get to.
This, that, and the other. Yeah, and it's just so funny to me that everybody's like, "Oh man, well, he's just not. He's not a very good this, not a very good that." I'm like, man, when you got people lining up and people are, actually believing some of these rumors that have these outrageous numbers tied to them, like, yeah, the rest of the country would take him in a heartbeat, but
not at $12 million a clip. That's more than Nick Saban makes. He ain't doing that. He's not going to make more than Nick Saban. That's ridiculous. Anyway, so I think they're going to respond well. I mean, in the past, heck, since Bob Stoops has been there, Oklahoma's not lost 2 consecutive games in the same season except last year in a COVID year.
Yeah.
So I think Oklahoma's going to respond
in a COVID year.
I think they're going to respond very well, and
with a ton of production suspended and everything like that. So, yeah, I think.
All right, and then I got a question for you. Oh, how do I get rid of that? There we go. Okay, so it's a ticker at the bottom because I don't know how to work this because I got no training, so I just kind of did it as I went. So, any problem with Dave Miranda's last-second field goal attempt, and that'll be the last thing that we do for Baylor.
No, absolutely not. It was explained away. There are margin of victory tiebreakers, like way down in the Big 12 tie-breaking rules. So every point matters in a tie-breaking scenario, and with the log jam at the top, it's obvious that you at least need to pay attention to those tiebreakers. And with teams letting off the gas or whatever, it's a good thing to send to your team, so to say, hey, we're not going to get up, we're going to play to the last whistle, we're going to play to outscore our opponent in every way. And I think you saw that with the playing to the last minute from everybody in a Baylor uniform. I also think that when you have a team that's willing to play to the last minute. You better be willing to play the last minute with them. So I've always been like back when they were talking like the Miami days in the 80s when they were celebrating and everybody was like, man, these celebration penalties are crazy. Well, stop them from getting in the end zone. You don't want Dave Miranda kicking a field goal, then don't let him get in field goal range. Like
don't get in a situation where you're losing by 7.
Yeah.
Or what was it? It was not 7, it was 8, right? Something like that. I don't know. Math is hard. Just don't get in that situation. I mean, you don't want him to be in position to kick field goal on you. Don't score 14. Don't score just 14 points. I mean, I get why he's pissed. I do. Like that's some.
I would be more.
That's kind of crap you do, and that's the kind of stuff you do in NCAA 13 and Madden. So,
well, I
don't blame him, but
I think he was more upset with the rushing the field and players getting bum rushed.
That's where, and I think that's where he had his issue. I don't think it was necessarily the field goal.
If it was just a field goal, because I mean he blew up before the field goal even. Like they came back and field goal. So him blowing up was way more about actually
safety the players,
the 15,000 people on the field. So it is what it is. But as far as the field goal goes and stuff like that, like it was a tie-breaking scenario, and Dave Miranda said that he's like, "There's tiebreakers in the Big 12, and we're not." I mean, if OU wins these last 2 games, even if they lose one of them, they're likely in the title game. So it's like David knows, hey, we're gonna likely be tied in the standings with people. We need to take advantage of every tiebreaker scenario possible.
Yep.
So and then like I said, you don't want him kicking a field goal, then keep him out of field goal range. Pretty simple.
Pretty much. Can't argue that point. Don't be in a position where you're in that situation. So
exactly.
Just my thoughts on it. And then everybody's favorite topic here. You're kind of the guru on it. I've kind of come in a little late to it. Recruiting updates. Got anything? I heard we got some guys coming down.
Big time visit weekend. Big time. Especially got David Hicks, the 2023. I think they pegged him as the number 7 player overall. He is the second highest rated defensive line commit behind Labius Overton. LT Overton obviously is an OU legacy. A guy who that moved the needle. The SEC move definitely moved the needle with LT Overton. So, but having a shot at least at David Hicks and then having a shot at LT Overton, just think of having a shot, getting visits, multiple visits from the top 2 defensive linemen in a class. I mean, when did that happen last? I mean, you'd have to go out back a long time. So getting visits.
I don't think we've ever done that.
I mean, so
maybe the Selman brothers? I don't even know.
But apparently everybody in the comments knows exactly where LT Overton's going, which is wild because I don't think LT Overton knows where he's going. But I say that tongue in cheek. But the same guy that told me in a space that Gentry Williams was going to Florida, and I was like, "Well, that's weird." Because somebody better tell Gentry Williams that because he wasn't telling me that. So,
shoot, anyways, man, people are leaving Florida in the recruiting trails. So,
dude, it's amazing because I talked to Gentry about this. I was like, it's an interesting time to be a Tulsa like high-end recruit because it's Florida, has Garrett McGee, quarterback coach, Tulsa ties, a lot of Booker T guys, really close with him still. And then you've got Dante Williams that at USC is an incredible recruiter. Really like a lot of those guys. And with Damani Jackson decommitting from USC, that was pretty much the nail in the coffin for that was their crown jewel of the class by far. So with USC and Florida both having head coaching either vacancies, defensive coordinator vacancies, or eventual head coaching vacancies, it was a perfect time for OU to step up and keep those guys in state. And I think it's going to pay off with Micah Tease as well. Micah Tease is the real deal. I mean, watching him.
So is he going to be a wide receiver or is he going to be a defensive back?
So he actually got changed from wide receiver to athlete in yesterday's 247 updates. I like him at defensive back. The dude's just a playmaker. He makes plays
just kind of like a Billy Bowman type.
Yeah, and in my opinion, I'll tell you what. One of the things that I liked about Micah Tease, when I went down to the bunch of you guys saw Grinch and Lincoln at the Booker T game. One of the things, because they were there watching, obviously, Bixby and Booker T, a lot of D1 talent all over that field. And they're going pretty hard after Micah, and Miles is down there and all that kind of stuff. Well, Bixby was beating them. Like, Bixby beats everybody. But at a point,
because Bixby's that team.
Yeah. And Booker T, they had the ball backed up, in their own red zone, and quarterback was having a bad day for Booker T. I mean, I talked to some of the guys that are there, and they're just not. He just wasn't having a good day. They told me, they're like, man, this guy's usually throwing for this, that, and the other. Man, he was bad. So he telegraphs the ball over to, I believe it was Micah on the left hand side, throws it right to a linebacker. Linebacker goes in, scores untouched, and Micah starts running off the field to talk to the quarterback, but doesn't realize that he's supposed to be in on this kick. So he goes in for the PAT, and then afterwards, and you see, the quarterback walks over, he's got his head down, all this, and Micah, after the kick goes through, runs right over to the quarterback, starts hyping him up, saying, hey, man, we got, good next time. You just didn't see it, all good, and starts walking through the routes and walking through. And it was really cool. Like, I talk a lot about player leadership because I think when people want to talk about what's wrong with OU, right? And, some people are like, well, it's the strength and conditioning coach. Some people are like, well, it's Grinch, it's Riley, it's, whatever. It's somebody, right? But I think people are really underestimating how much we miss K9, how much we miss Creed, how much we miss Baker. Like, these types of players were vocal leaders, and they were all very good. So you're talking about all, first round guys, some first overall picks, that kind of thing. And I think Micah Tease can be one of those guys that's a leader on the field. I think you got a lot of that with Perkins. I think a lot of people thought Perrion was kind of going to be that guy, but I was hoping that Perrion would just develop a little bit more as far as his production goes. But I'm a big Micah Tease fan. I'll buy up all the Micah Tease stock that we got. So, but yeah, as far as recruiting, like I said, big recruiting weekend. The new 2023 rankings came out. Our guy Malachi Nelson shot up to number 2. Makai Lemon shot all the way up to 13. And then LT Overton's number 3. Some of our guys dropped just due to production, like Luke dropped.
Quick question: who's the defensive lineman, the junior college kid coming in that was ranked number 1 overall in the junior college?
Yeah. So he's the Frenchman.
He's coming, right?
So he's from the Congo and then played football in France. So his family is Congolese. So they're trying to come over for some visits, whatnot. But he is going to be there. He is ranked. He's a beast. He's 6'6". He's 305. And he, he's going to be in Norman. He's in the 2022 class, which is interesting because, you look at some of our outstanding targets in the 2022 class along the defensive line, and you've got Chris McClellan, obviously, which is kind of an interesting kind of. I feel like he's trying to talk himself out of going to Oklahoma, but like Florida all of a sudden is looking real bad, and then
right, having no defensive staff,
and then you don't know like if the other offers are committable or like, okay, has Bama moved off them? Like where is that going? So it's interesting. But with Hero Canoe, if we can pull him in, but this massive, this 6'6", 305 defensive lineman who's been just tearing it up at a JUCO level, and obviously getting I'm big at getting the trenches filled with portal players because they're typically grown.
Yeah.
They're older, like they're older players. So you look at OSU's roster right now, and I think OSU's roster is older than the Thunder roster. Like,
yeah, probably.
they got 24-year-olds, 23-year-olds, all that kind of stuff. So part of that, obviously, is people not leaving early for the draft. I get that. I get that we're not going to see Caleb Williams playing at 24 years old. Like, I get that. But there's also
this is kind of something that I've said across college football. So this is something I've said across college football this year is I think we're seeing a lot of the 5th-year guys that get that free 6th year, those guys that had that medical red shirt that are 6th-year guys now getting their 7th year. I think that's absolutely huge for why we're seeing as much parity as we're seeing this year in college football. But I mean, hey man, you want to see Oklahoma get better? You want to see Oklahoma get really, really good? Go watch the tape on some of these offensive linemen. Go watch the tape on these defensive linemen. That's all I did the other night is I said, no, what's the tape on some of these guys we're recruiting, some of these guys that are verbal commits already. Like straight up, like if you go look at some of this tape, like dang, these dudes are dang.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got, like I said, this weekend will be a big one. We've got some guys. Luckily, what I look for on a lot of these recruiting trips is what currently committed kids are coming, because those are your real sales guys. I mean, you can sit there and be like, okay, here's Lincoln, here's this, that, other. But then it's game day. They've got to go coach a game. Like the players have to go play in a game. So even your player host, like you can't like just hold his hand the whole time, So
which is why Pat Fields is amazingly huge in this program.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. He hosts damn near every defensive back recruit. He's a smart kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders. I mean, you see he's up for every like the academic Heisman.
Great person award.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's. I mean, does he have the body of a Key Lawrence or something like that? Like, no, he doesn't. But he knows that. No. That's why his intelligence is often. I mean, it's his best tool. So, but that's why a lot of these, like commits that are already in the boat, it's so important for them to get back up to the games because they can act as that constant recruiting in your ear. Oh man, did you see that? Did you see what they're doing here? Did you see this? And that's what's cool. So we'll have guys like Gentry up there and a few other actual commits that are going to be up there. So I'd have to look at the list, but no, it's going to be a packed weekend. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. It's going to be really good it's going to be good to having those guys here for Iowa State. It was really, really, really tough since 2017, I would say, when Matt Campbell kind of got Iowa State turned around and they started getting some things in. So just kind of my thoughts on Iowa State this week. If you watched Iowa State at all last year, it's the same exact team. They ran kind of everything the same. It's kind of really predictable if you guys watch them play. They're still a physical team. They're still going to run their scheme really well. They have the best tight end in college football. And then I would still argue probably the best, if not top 5, as far as running back. And then, I mean, it's Brock Purdy. He's okay, serviceable, above average, whatever term you want to use for him. Say what?
He should be better by now.
I agree. He should be 1,000% better. Like Alabama went after this guy. Like that should tell everybody something. Bama wanted him, and they wanted him bad because he was good. Like his high school film is great. His college film is poor. So if you want to see Iowa State, if you want to know what to expect, go watch some film from last year. And you're going to run into the same Iowa State team. So what are some of the challenges you're seeing that you've seen with them, if you've watched them at all this year, and kind of some stuff that you think we're going to respond with after our loss?
Yeah, I think I think it begins and ends with our ability to stop Charlie Kohler. And they're big tight ends. They've got a couple big tight ends. And that's where I think they've given us so many issues in the past. And that's why I think so many people were excited to have Key Lawrence come in. And you get those Bryson Washingtons and things like that are taller guys, because everybody looked at Iowa State and they thought, not that anybody's like, oh man, we need to build a team around beating Iowa State, because that's not our goal. But I think that exposed a lot of things in our defense. And we thought, man, we can't have small guys covering the slot and then, trying to climb trees. Because a lot of times when Buki was playing, I know everybody wants to hate on him, but he was in great position often. It was just when you're a foot shorter,
when you're 5'8",
you can't do anything about it. Like, there were times
when you're going up against a dude legit 1 inch taller than you.
Yeah, it was like it had to be a flag, because he was doing what he could. He was climbing all over the guy. But I think so. I think they've got some good tight ends. Obviously, Breece Hall's good, but I think this game and every game, it always has to be. You got to make it about being the aggressor, making them react to you.
I agree.
Like I said,
they're not great at that.
Marquise Hayes said, he's like, man, we focused on being more physical, count on the run game. And I think Marcus Major gets a few more carries. I don't think it's a situation where, Marcus Major's the best back on the team, and we just didn't want to win against Baylor is why we didn't put him in. It's like,
right.
That's also how I feel about some, and there are some of the freshmen that should play. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but what I'm saying is there are freshmen on the field or first-year players on the field. This is an undeniable fact. Guys like Mario get on the field. Guys like Billy have gotten on the field. Guys like Key Lawrence, first-year guy, got on the field. We've got, Stutzman's on the field. We could continue to go on. And Caleb, obviously, a little more nuanced of a situation.
A couple guys on the offensive line.
So, yeah. So that's where I'm like, okay, it's not that Lincoln and Grinch don't want to play the freshmen, because they're playing freshmen, but they're just not playing some freshmen. So I think it's way less to blame the defensive coaches or Lincoln or whoever. Be like, oh man, they need to be playing these more talented guys. If they're more talented, they'd probably be on the field, because there are.
Or if they practice better, they would be on the field. Like,
exactly.
I don't think people realize the fact that Oklahoma puts a lot of stock in practice, and that determines your play time, and that's across the board. Like, Nick Saban just doesn't throw someone out there that practices bad. Like, you don't do that. Kirby Smart doesn't do that. In all of his wisdom down there in Florida, Dan Mullen doesn't do that either.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, it's when you have evidence of freshmen on the field, you can't be like, oh, this coaching staff doesn't play freshmen. What are you talking about? They're on the field. So I don't know. It's an interesting situation. We said, I don't think you can just be like, oh, well, if we just play Marcus Major, then we're going to rush for 250 yards. I don't think it's that easy. I don't think it's that simple. So I hope. God, I wish. Wouldn't it be nice if that was if that's the only change? You're like, oh,
if that was the fix, which it's not.
There's no big deal. Like, no big deal.
All right. So, Travis, I know you've been looking forward to this all year, because we've gotten into it all year. And it seems like from game one, snap one, to this most recent game. Listen, we got 12 games of college football every single year, and we've spent but complaining about OU and overreacting to every little thing and overanalyzing and hyperanalyzing everything, and just sit there and go, well, Oklahoma won, but they didn't look good. The main thing here is they won, and they have one loss on the year. So, Travis, dive into some of this overreaction talk, because I know you've been foaming at the mouth to get at it, and I know we kind of talked earlier, and you were one of the
and I get labeled
sunshine pumper
and all this, and it's and I agree that part of it is because I know a lot of these guys, and I don't want they're human just like everything else, and if these random Twitter accounts had their life nationally televised, and they wouldn't last a second, having all these random people coming at them. And I know that comes with the territory. We also aren't getting a free scholarship out of it. We aren't getting any NIL deals out of it. We aren't maybe going to the NFL because of it. So I know that it's not just an even trade, right? I know nobody wants to, put my daily life on national TV. Like, it'd be boring as hell. Like, I jump around to the different restaurants, and that's about it. But that's the thing. I think a lot
You
of
see
these
a guy
people,
over here, he works in IT. I mean,
yeah.
woo. I grant people access to files.
So with that, I think I approach it like that. And of course, maybe sometimes that doesn't, um, maybe that doesn't allow me to be as harsh on people as maybe other other people are or whatnot. But this idea of, if the angrier you are, the bigger fan you are, or
Right.
like, oh well, I've been calling for Lincoln's head for three. Well, then you're an idiot. Like,
Yep.
it's a certain situation where you have to understand these are people too. They make mistakes. The other people on the other team, yeah, they're D1 athletes as well. They got NFL players on that other side too. OU
What?
OU
Blasphemy.
is more talented than every team in the Big 12. Absolutely, they're more talented than every team in the Big 12. It's also hard to win a lot of games. Like, it's hard to go undefeated. Like, it's really hard to go undefeated. I don't care who you are. So you've got Oregon, a top 4 team, losing to Stanford, a terrible Stanford team. You have
Yes.
you have all kinds of upsets, and it is what it is. Does it happen at OU too often? Absolutely. We lose some head scratchers. There's no doubt. But my main thing is, the dude's on an incredible pace. He's on a better winning pace than everybody except Switzer, I think. Through his first
And I
hour.
think he's not even that far behind on Switzer.
And he's not far behind Switzer. Switzer came in and was, no, I
I
don't
mean,
think
he was
anybody.
gifted the most talented team probably Oklahoma's ever had.
Yeah, that's 74, 75. Yeah, that stretch
Dang.
was insane. But it's a situation where it's like, I mean, all what he can't win a playoff game against teams that are more talented than him, when he had Mike
I'm
around, when he
sorry, but
didn't
when
necessarily
we're
want him to be around. Like, there was that awkward, like, okay, I need to bring my own defensive coordinator. Grinch is only in his 3rd year, half the season. He's been missing half of, like, his whole starting secondary. Um, it's just a situation where I think a lot of people's arguments lack context. But I will always debate people who actually bring a reasonable, contextualized argument.
Mhm.
But just whatever, Grinch has got to go because, Speedy doesn't work. I'm like, it does. There's nuance to it. He needs his guys. He needs his hit. Like, the fact that there are still Stoops guys there that were not recruited for the scheme at all, they're playing in. Yep. Thank you, Monty. So that's the thing. It's such an interesting thing. Like, we talk about the standards of our program and whatnot. Like, everybody's lining up for this guy. He's turned down NFL jobs. He's turned down. He's been linked to LSU. He's been linked to wherever and he said, "No, I'm good. I'm staying here." And he's a good fit. And I
Mhm.
think Joe Clapp brought up a good point today. He's like, and when he was on Colin Coward, and Colin Coward
He's
somehow,
an idiot.
yeah, but he finally made a good point. A broken clock's worth right twice a day. So he said Oklahoma. He's like, it's a top 5 job. He's like, you don't leave Oklahoma to go to another college, and we have a lot of the Pittsburgh Steeler type stuff going on, where the Pittsburgh Steelers pride themselves on having 3 coaches all time, and OU's kind of like that. You win a title here, you threaten to win a title, whatnot. You can stay here. You can be a Bowden. You can be um, you know, uh,
Bob Stoops even.
Yeah, but I can't believe Paterno. Golly, I kept
Oh,
on associating him with other names that I wish he wasn't associated with. But yeah, I mean, you can be that at OU. The problem is LSU's never have it. Oh, win a title? I don't care. We're going to fire you 2 years later. Like we're gonna go anywhere else. Sorry, we're gonna fire you in 2 years, 3 years. Like it's no, like you want to cultivate that continuity, and so much so with recruiting that helps so much. Is hey, the coaches that recruit you are still going to be here, and that's a huge feather
right.
in OU cap. I know for a fact they use that pitch. Is hey, if you want to be coached by these people, stick around. Like you'll be coached by the same people probably your whole time you're here. At least head
Right.
coach and likely coordinators. I mean, you look at Cale Gundy and Bill Bedenbow and guys like that. Heck, even Drew Hill from the player personnel standpoint. Like
Been here
so,
forever.
yeah. So it's like
I don't think Cale Gundy ever left Oklahoma.
no, he didn't. No, he didn't. So,
So if you want to know about anybody who's going to know the Oklahoma standard better than any of us, it's going to be that guy that a lot of us want to demote or remove the co-offensive coordinator title on. Man, I just can't get behind that one. It's and Cam said it earlier best. Oklahoma has an off year on offense, and everybody's like, "Well, Lincoln needs an offensive coordinator."
what's crazy is if you look at all the SP plus ratings and all that kind of stuff, like
Here you go.
our
I have it pulled up year by year. So I'm going to read from 2015 to the most recent ranking that's been dropped.
and yes, Monty
11th.
Saban cheats badly.
Oh,
So
yes, very
Saban
much.
absolutely cheats.
All right, so
Saban absolutely
2015,
cheats. But the
11th.
NCAA is not going to smear
No,
their greatest coach of all time
no,
because that
absolutely
will
not.
make themselves look bad. But yes, Saban and Alabama absolutely cheat.
Yes, yes, they absolutely do. So SP plus offense for Oklahoma since 2015, 11th, first, third, second.
Yeah, that's not a down year on offense. Like it's
Like what?
yeah, it's and that's but he's done it to himself. Lincoln Riley has done it to himself, and we've been so used to it, especially even going back to the Heupel days. We were scoring like crazy, and that's the thing. And I just think, I talk about OU fans being spoiled, but it's. I talk to obviously people from different fan bases, especially through like spaces and whatnot, and people are like, man, like we're losing to teams that we've never, or we really even losing schools we haven't even heard of before. We've never had a season like your worst season in the last 5 years would be our best season in our history, things like that. Like, and I get that we have standards, we've earned those standards. We're a top 5 program all time, this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that we should be happy with an 8-4 season. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But,
or even a 12-1 where we don't win in our 1 losses or 13-1, we lose in the playoffs, or we're 12-2 and we get to the playoffs and we lose there. Like, guys, people like there's 125 other programs that would kill for that season. Like, I don't think people realize that, and the sustained success of doing that. Like, you look at Oklahoma since Bob Stoops got here, bro, there's not another Alabama. That's it. I've done the statistics for it. I know it's just Alabama. It's not even Ohio State. Oklahoma is second since 2000 in wins behind Alabama. So if we want to sit here and say, hey, well, Oklahoma's sustained success isn't great, then I don't know what we're doing here, man. That's an overreaction.
Yeah, we're in good shape. The dude's still super young. He's still learning stuff about being a head coach. Shit, he's not had a lot of the adversity, adversity that a lot of these other coaches had growing up through everything. But, I say he's done a pretty dang good job, kind of learning on the fly how to be a head coach. It's not often where your first head coaching job happens to be a top 5 program of all time. But Bob Stoops, saw the potential in the guy, and I think he's been this Chad Brewster guy's wearing me the hell out. But so all right, cool. So I like back in the day where I didn't even know that I could see the comments. It was fantastic. Now I catch
I didn't
myself.
know I could block people for 5 minutes. So
Oh, that's
he's in a
amazing.
timeout. So we don't have to listen to that ridiculousness.
Yeah. He's just throwing insults at the wall, seeing what'll stick, and he finally got me, and I was like, you know what, just get out of here, man.
Okay. And while we're talking about rumors and we're talking about overreactions, this is the biggest one right here.
Did you mean to say end this here? H-E-R-E?
No, I don't really understand where that came from. Oh, ending this here. Yeah. So this is going to be. Oh, I misspelled here. Hold on.
There's probably your voice text.
No, I work in IT and I like to oversee things because I type too fast.
Gmo, what up, dog?
Gmo, what's up, my brother?
I hope that's the same Gmo. There can't be that many Gmos. I mean, theoretically.
Not that I know of. So, yeah, no. So this one, we're ending this here. He's not going to LSU. There is no, there may be an 8-year, $96 million contract on the table. I don't buy it. I don't buy anything J-Boy says. If you've listened to that dude talk,
message boards and J-Boy are not the sources, that, especially LSU message boards. And the plane that was flying back and forth was flying a Shih Tzu back and forth. There's a guy that lives in LSU, lives in Baton Rouge, and was flying up to see. He's got kids that go to OU, and he kept flying up, and he was bringing the Shih Tzu up, like Sassy, I think was the name. And it was Sassy going back and forth. I saw a picture of Sassy on the jet. I'm like, that's what's been causing all this drama. Shit cracks me up. So no, Lincoln ain't going anywhere. And like I said, LSU specifically, it's a pressure cooker. You know, it's you. Once you get to LSU, you are looking for your job in another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
like
no,
it's just
and
what it is.
And it's, I mean, I'm not, and I'm just going to go with the whole, you listened to the soundbite finally today. I sent it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even believable. Nothing he said on there was believable. Like nothing on what he said. Like, okay, I got a source I trust. And they said Lincoln Riley was offered an 8-year, $96 million deal. And from my understanding is Caleb Williams would take Caleb Williams with him. What?
Yeah. No, he wouldn't.
Like, and here's the thing: if we're gonna listen to this guy called
Caleb Williams' parents were laughing at that. His parents were laughing at that because
he made a comment after the fact that he said offered and accepted are two different things. After in his video, he said, "I believe Lincoln Riley will take the job."
Mm-hmm. He's just
another guy. He's a guy that's endorsed by Colin Cowherd. If you want to know anything, there you go. There's your whole point. Form your opinion of him after that statement.
And Colin Cowherd, for all of his faults, he knows how to get clicks. He knows how to get eyeballs. I mean, that's why they pay him all that money. Like, that's literally why they pay him. That's why he's one of the highest paid sports talk guys in the country, is because he knows. The whole reason he's on Baker all the time is because he looks at his producers, tell him, hey, man, they went crazy on Twitter for that. Hey, man, you know what they went crazy on Twitter for? LeVar Ball. Let's bring him on again. Hey, you know what they went crazy for? More LeBron talk. Like, that's why First Take has LeBron versus MJ like every other day. Like, it's just, yeah.
And another reason he's not leaving Oklahoma.
It's spectacular. I would never leave that house. I'd retire in that house. And Trae Young's building one next door. And DeMarco lives down the street. Like, in the same neighborhood. Like, so.
Just proving my points, my man.
Can you imagine, Doug, being a recruit? And, you know, every football player thinks they can hoop too. So, like, that's right.
Wizard of Oz vibes going on.
Right. So the thing with that is every football player thinks they can hoop. So whenever they get to Lincoln's house, Lincoln's got a basketball court upstairs, half-court basketball court upstairs above his kitchen. He's got another outdoor court outside. So how dope is it going to be when he can walk out? Like, they can basically be like, oh, they're having dinner or whatever, playing basketball, and Trae Young walks over and is like, hey, y'all mind if I get some shots up with you? Can you imagine being a 17-year-old recruit, say from, I don't know, the state of Georgia, because we're going to be in the SEC, we're going to be trying to recruit Georgia, Florida, all that. Can you imagine being an Atlanta Hawks fan and all-star Trae Young comes through and says, hey, you want to get up some shots? Dude, that guy's like, can I sign my letter now? I'm committed. Like, that's such a flex. I mean, and Trae loves Norman and Oklahoma so much that he will absolutely do that. He'll help,
and it's underrated too. Like how much that dude loves his home state.
Right down the road, he's building the Young Family Activity Center, Young Family Athletic Center. So he's literally building the house right down the road from where he's investing more back into the community, his hometown in Norman, and he's going to do everything he can to help recruit. So that's a pretty cool, like, oh, hey, you can hang out with NBA All-Star while you're hanging out with all the football coaches and doing that. So
hey, it just so happens Trae Young walked over to see if he wanted to hoop with Lincoln Riley. No big deal.
Yeah, exactly. So
so we're going to get a little bit before we hit the questions. I'm going to get a little bit into. I'm trying to figure out my hands here. A little bit into this. I agree, Monty. And I think it starts this week. I think Oregon loses to Utah. No doubt in my mind. Actually, it's. I'm pretty sold on that idea because I think Oregon is a worse football team than we are. They just happen to have played one great game when it absolutely mattered, but their loss is worse than almost anybody's in the top 25. So yeah, if they lose again, they're gonna they might drop below 15. Like I think it's that bad for them. And let's get to Weston's question, since we are on Iowa State week and we kind of touched it a little bit. Are we going to be able to run the ball against Iowa State, or do we give Eric Gray or Major more touches? I think we are going to run the ball more. I don't think we're going to do this zone. I don't think we're going to do the GT counter as much as we all love it and we all want to see it go great. Hasn't really worked that well the last 2 years. I think we're a zone run football team right now. And if we all can see it, Lincoln Riley sees it. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that. And I think we're going to see, if we get high possessions like we're wanting, we'll see a lot of Eric Gray, and we'll see some Marcus Major in there as well too, because I believe he should be able to redshirt this year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we might actually start seeing him now because we don't have to redshirt. So that's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think, like I said, when Marquise is willing to say in an actual interview, post-practice interview, say, yeah, we're really focused on running the ball, being more physical, more aggressive. Like, you don't hear that ever in quotes from the people don't talk about what you're working on in practice. So, so I think the fact that he brought it up was, okay, yes, we are going to run the ball more. And Lincoln's admitted, I mean, he admitted in his coach's show that he got away from the run too early and too much. So, I mean, you've got the coach admitting it, and then you've got players saying it. So I would argue that, I mean, that's pretty much all they're pretty much all they've been talking about.
And Weston, shout out for getting another one there. Weston, I think that's a good point. Cincinnati being home against SMU, it's going to be a really good game, in my opinion. I don't think Cincinnati is nearly as good as we all think they are. I think Garrett Riley is going to have some things planned up for Cincinnati. Tanner Mordecai is still that good.
Future offensive coordinator? What?
No. We don't even have and what's funny, and I didn't even get into this, and I had planned to. Oklahoma doesn't have an offensive coordinator position open, guys. Stop it. It's not there. There's not a position for another offensive coach. So if you're going to say, well, let's hire an offensive coordinator, who are you going to fire? Answer that, and then we can have that actual conversation.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Don't say anything else until you answer that question. Anyway, back to this comment. I think it's going to be a good game.
We're going to say Lincoln.
I think Cincinnati hosting SMU. I like it. I like the game. The matchup's going to be fun.
Yeah, SMU's done really well. Calcaterra is going to be in the Senior Bowl. I think I saw that.
Yeah, I did too. Have you heard anything about his hand?
He's good to go from everybody I've talked to. But
that's everything I've seen too.
Chad, no, there's not. That's just because you don't have one doesn't mean there's room for one. You have to employ a certain amount of coach. Just
Arkansas.
So, no, I think that, man, it's been interesting. Just back to the Cincinnati stuff. It's interesting because they've had some damn close ones. Like, and I know as the OU fan, we've had tons of close ones too. But the committee was rating us on that. Like, you can't be like, man, Cincinnati had some close ones. Oh man, OU, you did too. Yeah, that's why we were ranked 8th as a 9-0 Power 5 team. So,
Richard, there's not. Go look at the coaching staff and tell me where there's an opening. We have 2 co-offensive coordinators already. Every position group's already filled. Who are you firing to bring in an offensive coordinator?
Yeah. So, like, they had a close one against Navy. They had a really close one against Tulsa. Tulsa got screwed on a spot. And then their quarterback, idiotically, could have just stretched the ball out and scored a touchdown late and didn't. And then, but Cincinnati gets, locked into these arguments of, oh, gritty win. Man, what a gritty goal line stand against Tulsa. Like, stop, dog. Like, just stop. So, but I think SMU, like I said, it's got something cooking up for them.
Yeah. They were my preseason pick to make the playoffs. I think I'm going to come off that now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I picked Georgia, Oklahoma, Oregon, and Cincinnati. Oklahoma playing Cincinnati and Georgia playing Oregon. So those were my 4. So I think I might cut off that. But Cincinnati, yeah, it's gonna be a good game. My opinion on this. I'm just reading through these comments. I agree, Weston.
Still talking about Caleb Williams though on that question. The second part of that was the 50-50 ball. I do think he got a little carried away with it because of his success at Texas. During the Texas game, it was, Marvin was coming down with everything. And I do think throwing 50-50 balls to Marvin's a good plan. I think he comes down with a lot more than he loses. But it's also not a situation where you can just back it up and launch it. You need to take the underneath stuff. The same stuff we were saying about Spencer earlier in the year as far as the passing game goes. You have to take the safe stuff. You don't always have to try to win the Heisman on one throw. You can't win the game on one throw. So,
and I think that's going to be something he learns this week going through film. I think he's going to see that a lot. And I think that's going to be something that, as much as we all want to hate on him, Spencer Rattler, I think, is going to be the one that points that out to him. Because, I mean, that's all we did. We hammered as a fan base, we hammered Spencer Rattler. Well, why is he not taking the underneath stuff? Why is he not taking the other? Because he is taking the underneath stuff. So I don't know what more you want him to do. He's just not connecting on the deep stuff. And, oh, hey, by the way, outside of Texas, we haven't really hit any of the deep stuff. So for me, everything's going to start around the run game. If we're successful there, everything else is going to open up. And I think we saw Caleb Williams show he was a true freshman. And I think that's going to be I think we hit that one game, to be completely honest. And I would much rather have that, but I saw what you looked at. We're not going to get rid of Tibbs. Enough of that.
He's about to sign his best D-line class that he's ever signed.
Exactly. I wasn't even going to entertain that. So I do want to get to Sean actually did ask a question. I do want to get to why did Caleb Williams not run as much?
I'm going
to put an as on there.
I still think he's learning it, man. Like, some of the things you saw is he would try to take off, but then instead of bouncing it out and then taking off, he would just go directly forward. And then it would allow people that were getting blocked by other people or getting off blocks really quickly to just one arm snag them or something like that. And Spencer used to do the same thing. Now Caleb's a better runner than Spencer. Everybody with eyes knows that. But no, OU's not getting D linemen because of Kane. They're getting edge rushers and outside linebackers and whatnot because of Kane. But the core, the inside defensive linemen that we've been doing so well with, those are Tibbs. Dindy is Tibbs. The best defensive lineman we've signed in a decade. So,
yeah.
But with the running, I feel like they've got to step out. They have to understand that they've got a lot of pressure in their face. Just step out and then get upfield, because that's the thing that happened to Spencer too. I mean, Spencer goes down a little easier, but if Spencer was getting out of the pocket, he just got hit and then goes down. Caleb stays up during that, but if all the pressure's right here and they broke contain, just get to the outside, then go up. And I think through film and whatnot, they'll learn that. So I think it's another thing. If he's just a true freshman and he didn't play football for a whole year, the guy didn't play football in almost 2 years. So that kind of stuff.
He's being reintroduced to, oh, hey, here's big boy football and Power 5. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. So, and heck, Miranda's defense, I mean, the guy knows what he's doing. I mean, he's always had Lincoln's number. I don't think anybody going into this was like, man, Lincoln finally just figured out this Dave Miranda guy who has a national championship as a defensive coordinator has turned Baylor into a top 10 defense nationally, like that kind of stuff. Like, it's like Dave Miranda. I'm surprised that he hasn't. And I don't know if he's gotten calls, but if I were anybody, I'm trying to think of the job openings.
The big ones are USC, LSU, and
I'd be like, hey, send him back down to Florida.
Virginia Tech.
I would
opened up.
I would take off. I would be like Mullen, because look, Mullen's done. Like, Mullen's done.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to get any good coordinators because the writing's on the wall with Mullen. So it's it's Mullen. They just got to cut bait and run. So I would, if I were Florida, I think with his success at LSU, his success now in the state of Texas, I feel like kids want to play for him, and I think that he would do really well at Florida. I don't know if I'd put him back at LSU because I don't think he's splashy enough for them. Which I hate when schools focus on splashy hires instead of the right hire. Like what's splashy? Is it just going to be this big rotation of Dan Mullen and like Will Muschamp and Lane Kiffin and all these guys that just kind of hit the rotation and they've got college jobs, year after year after year. Bill O'Brien's probably going to get.
And there's not really a splash hire that's available right now. I mean, he's going to have to really go out, and anybody that they want to go at, like splash hire wise, their buyouts are ridiculous.
Yeah, the buyout culture is definitely screwing up some. I mean, it's great for the coaches. I mean, they're getting paid ridiculous amounts of money. I mean, Mel Tucker's new deal
to not catch.
Jesus.
Dude, I haven't read into it, but my God, what a great deal. I mean, he just basically told LSU, yeah, not only do I not want your job.
Dude, I mean, LSU's job opening, I tweeted this out, got Mel a few extra million. He's getting $9.5 million a year, dog. $9.5 million.
He's gonna end up. He's right up there with Dabo.
For a guy that
on his salary.
For a guy that he's a great coach by all reports. He's a great guy. The kids love to play for him. The coaches love to coach with him. But he brought in 14 transfers and totally remade a team into a 9-1 team. Like,
he did. They're playing excellent football.
I mean,
on top of all of that.
What was their record last year? They have a losing record last year?
I don't know. I'll pull it up.
But it's like, I mean, that's a lot of money. That's a lot in a 10-year deal to give a guy that
they were 2-5 last year.
Yeah, dog.
They were 7-6 the year before.
2-5 And then, I mean, that is go win us a national title money. Like if you're paying somebody $9.5 a year, the expectations are to win a national title. And
pretty much.
And that's, I mean, kudos to Michigan State for putting their money where their mouth is. There are certain programs that need to start investing in their football programs. That's the thing about like USC, and that's the thing about Florida and stuff. I mean, Florida's worried about the buyout. Florida's worried about a buyout, and Michigan State just paid somebody $95 million. I mean, you've got to, and that's like Miami and stuff like that. You have to, yeah. You have to, when you're paying somebody that much, you have to go win a championship, or you have to compete for a championship, because, I mean, and it's rare to see somebody get paid that much money without without a bowl win, without a bowl appearance, coming off a losing record.
And then he goes and just going based on he's
strikes gold in the transfer portal for 1 year.
Right.
And you're like, oh man, this guy hit a transfer portal.
This is either the most brilliant business decision because they were able to forward cast really well, or one of the worst.
Well, and that's the thing, like, and as I've said, like, he's probably a great guy by all accounts. He's a fantastic dude. Kids love playing for him. Coaches love working with him. He'll never have a tough time getting. I don't know if they can afford coordinators now. They're paying him $9.5, but I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it's just interesting to see somebody at like Clemson, for example, with Dabo, they paid him big, but it was after like he'd shown like success and won a title and all that. Like he got paid because of that.
Right.
But that was sustained success. But Clemson isn't a national power, like not a blue blood or anything.
No.
So, and not somewhere where you expect there to be championship standards. There are now, thanks to Dabo. But it's like, man, yes, Nick Saban cheats. I don't know why people are questioning that.
Dude owns car dealerships. Dude cheats, guys. And he owns a suit. And he owns a like a Just for Men, or like a Just for Men's, whatever the suit thing place is called, or whatever it is. He owns one of those too. Like if you don't think those dudes walking out with $2,000 tailor cut suits, then
recruiting's absolutely easy for him, but he's not taking any chances. But it's an interesting situation, because then with the and you always get all these coaches that were somehow tied to him, and now they're on probation. Oh, Bo Davis. Oh, he's on probation now, and then he's at Texas. He gets pushed out of the SEC. All this stuff, like, just is what it is.
Lincoln Riley, Bill Bedenbaugh, Cale Gundy.
Yep.
There, I answered your question.
Yep.
And with that, guys, any questions you have for us? Let's go. We're hitting about the hour mark. We'll probably answer 4 or 5 questions. So just any questions you guys got, anything about this week coming up, anything about Oklahoma you guys want to know, if you're coming in a little late, anything else, it really just kind of anything. It's open forum right now, guys. And if you troll, I did figure out how to put you in timeout. I am not above putting you in timeout.
I know. I don't think I have that option on my side.
You don't. It's got to be the leader.
Oh man, yeah, it's probably good. There'd be like 4 of us in here. But yeah, it's. Oh, his mom. Yeah, Alex loves Coach Kane. Loves Coach Kane. Alex is his mom, obviously. Yeah, and even like Hero Canu's mom, like, how's he been doing in high school? He's killing it.
Every highlight video I see, he's breaking ankles and knees and hips, and
when he's on like, I'll go
people
on, like,
he's putting people in wheelchairs and killing.
You do on like Instagram, and you just scroll, and like obviously a lot of like football stuff comes up on mine, So like every second or third just like cultural or high school football account that's doing highlights is of Raleigh Brown. Like, and they're different accounts too. So it's not like that somebody's just around Matter Day. And the thing about Matter Day is they've got a lot of really talented guys. So it's not like he's a bell cow. And um, so it's a situation where he's not, I mean, shit. Braylon Presley had 6 carries in their last playoff game. They scored 78 points. He caught a couple balls, but Braylon's obviously their best back in Bixby. I mean, it's 6 carries for 80 yards. He brought back the opening. He brought back the opening kickoff for a touchdown. Like they were up 60-0 or whatever at half. Like a lot of these guys in high school, they don't necessarily, especially once they have their offers and they're committed and whatnot. I don't think a ton of them want 35 carries a game. You know, especially a guy at Raleigh size.
No,
you don't want a guy.
And I'll say this: I don't think he's probably going to produce immediately. I think we're going to use him in space, and I think he's going to have certain games. I would be kind of surprised if he doesn't have a redshirt year next year.
I think we use him a little more like Mario. I think we use him a little more like Mario. When he's hanging out,
I agree.
When he was at Lincoln's house, he spent damn near the whole time with Coach Simmons. Simmons has been the primary recruiter on him. He was talking with Simmons' wife and kicking it. So it's I think it's going to be a good get him on the field in the slot and things like that.
I 100% agree with that. And Monty, he's a nightmare in space. If you guys haven't, you need to go look up Raleigh Brown's highlights because the dude snatches souls. Like Raleigh Brown, those kids have families. Like
he's also
dang, dude, they have to go talk to their they have to go talk to their families afterwards.
He's also really strong for his size too. Obviously, Javonte Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk are more traditional sized running backs, and those are going to be kind of between the tackles and more your traditional lineup in the backfield. But Javonte Barnes, I 100% expect to commit to Oklahoma. He'll be announcing at an All-American game, I believe. So, and then Gavin Sawchuk obviously is already in the boat, and his family leads a lot of the recruiting visits. So, like once the staff has to go, like coach, like the Sawchuk family, and then the Williams family actually are helping them out. So, Caleb's mom and dad do a lot of the recruiting visits too. So,
hey, Sean, are you talking about in this cycle or in 23?
In this cycle, we're not, because we'll have 3.
Do you know of anybody running back wise we're looking at in 23? That you can say?
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to watch the Ruben Owen saga because he grew up an OU fan. There are stories I'll share maybe way down the road, but he wants to be at OU, or he wanted to be at OU. But you would look at Richard Young, really any of the top 2023 guys. The way we've been recruiting in that class, it's going to be very easy to recruit offense. Obviously, Trayon Webb has been good. Score prediction, man, 20-21. Go, good guys. I don't know, like
about how I feel. I don't care. Just dub. I don't care if it's +3 or +33.
Yeah, I think it'll be close simply just because you got to look at all of our games and say, well, they've been close. So, I think it's within 10 points.
Did I get it? Yep, that was it. There it was.
Let's see. Pick it up. Man, offensive.
I got a defensive one.
Okay, I'll go offensive. I think it's Mario Williams simply because Caleb has shown that he can get him the ball and wants to get him the ball. Every quarterback has their guys, right? You've got Stogner and Stoops that Rattler always found. And then you've got Mario Williams, Mike, Jaden, those guys. Caleb always gets the ball to him, really gets the ball to Mario. I remember when he came in, it was a TCU game. I was like, I said, watch, Mario Williams is going to get like five catches in the second half. And he pumped it to him, man. So I'm going with Mario Williams, pick for offensive. He always seems so close, whether it's taking a kick or anything. He knows he's so close to he's one tackle away from breaking off a big play. He's a home run hitter for sure.
So defensively, I think he's going to kind of add on to his defensive stock that he built last week. I know you can probably sit there and go, well, how was their defensive stock from last week? There was legitimate defensive pluses you could take away from that game. And the biggest one that you could take away was how Brian Asamoah played. And I think he not only built on top of that, but I think he just steps up into this role we haven't seen him be in yet. And I think he's going to be a force. And he's going to have to be a force to stop their run game. And I think when they do decide to pass, the way that I saw him kind of cover on that interception that we had, to where he came in for run support, then ran back out to the guy and forced a really bad pass. And I think that turned into an interception. I don't remember now or not, but I think Brian Asamoah is that guy. And I think Brian Asamoah is going to show out. And I think he's going to kind of be the key cog in how, what's his name? Kolar, how in causing Kolar to kind of slow down. And I kind of think we move Key inside.
Yeah, that would be my main concern. If we can shut down their tight end pass game with big bodies, then I like where we're at, no doubt.
Richard, I don't. I would be shocked if we leave before the 22 season. We would have heard about it already if we were, in my opinion.
Oh, I didn't even see you put that up. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's right there. There was this question.
Yeah, I think we'd probably hear about it because there are some weird games that would have to be rescheduled. Of like that, we're all of a sudden conference games now that we're out of conference games before, because then you'd have that screwed up.
Maybe for the Big 12 title game.
I think the latest he'd be back is Bedlam, probably.
Gotcha.
We might see him a little bit this week, but
all right. Any other questions? Going once. Going twice. Come on, guys. I'm giving you time here. All right. So that's going to be it. I got to get Gmo in here.
Yeah, Gmo guy.
Haven't talked to him in a while, so I got to get the Gmo stuff in here, man. How many turnover and sack do you see us doing? I see at least one turnover, and we'll get to the pineapple thing here in a minute. I think we get back. I think we kind of get back on our roots and how we started the year on sacks.
Yeah, I think Redmond being back is obviously a massive difference. Getting Isaiah Thomas out to his natural position or back to his natural position. Jalen Redmond's just a monster. I'm weird on the sacks stat because I don't think it's a great way to measure defensive line success. I think a lot of these guys understanding quick passes, getting their hands up, tipping balls
which
up.
We've seen a lot of the last two games.
Yeah, it's been significantly more. Like you can tell that in practice they've really focused on the ball, getting your hands up, because it's made a big difference, and that leads to turnovers. So on the sack side, I don't know. I think we'll have a few, no doubt. But Purdy's been around too. He knows how to move out of the pocket, get out of the pocket, get rid of the ball, stuff like that. We aren't sneaking up on anybody that haven't seen a lot of field time. So I think a few sacks, but I think batted balls will be something to watch for sure. Just getting pressure up the middle.
And I think a couple of those lead to
forcing them into mistakes. I mean, if you get a guy out of the pocket and he throws one across his body and it's a pick, then there was no sack recorded, but we got the ball back. So
maybe even one of those batted balls actually turns into a turnover as well too, and those can be huge, and those can actually lead to points as well too. which is actually kind of what I've been most surprised about with our defensive line this year, because I kind of thought that would actually be something we saw a lot of this year, but not till late. But is what it is, and we're in my opinion, we're gonna be fine in that. I see at least 2 turnovers, getting back up into that, and then
of course
we got a pizza guy here.
Based on my sales, like, it's crazy. It's our 3rd highest selling pizza out of like 8.
What?
So yeah, it's like
no
pepperoni, and then it's I believe our white pizza, like Alfredo
sauce.
And that, yeah. So, and then the forbidden fruit, we do the pineapple and Canadian bacon. That's number 3, man. That's what they want.
Oh my gosh,
that's what they want. All right.
Leave it on a pizza question. All right. That we're gonna end it with people in Tulsa are weird and they like pineapple on their pizzas, so I don't think Gordon Ramsay will ever go there.
My pizza place is in Bixby, so
there you go, Bixby. All right, well, guys, hey, thanks for listening to the JP and Travis show. Hopefully next week the fearless leader JP will be here. I might be in the comment sections with all you heathens listening, but guys, have a great week. Boomer Sooner and beat Iowa State. Be on the lookout for the Sooners _ Big 12 B12C account. I'm putting Iowa State hate week stuff out, so there you guys have it. Boomer Sooner, have a great week.
See you guys.
Have a great weekend. Horns down.